You wake up. The alarm goes off. You slept the same hours as always, yet something feels wrong before your feet even touch the floor. The energy is not there. Getting out of bed feels heavier than it used to. The drive that once pushed you forward, to build, to compete, to move, has gone quiet. Your body is changing in ways you never planned. The belly grows. Strength fades. Focus blurs. And nobody tells you the truth about why. Most men over 45 quietly accept this. Testosterone drops. Energy disappears. The body declines. That story gets repeated so often it starts to feel like biology. But here is what almost no one says out loud. For many men, the real problem is not low testosterone. The real problem is that the body has stopped receiving the signals that tell it to produce it. And that changes everything. After 45, the changes rarely arrive dramatically. There is no single moment. It is more like a slow dimming of the lights, so gradual you almost miss it until the room feels dark. Energy that once carried you through the entire day now fades by mid-afternoon. Tasks that used to feel automatic now require extra effort. Workouts that once left you feeling powerful now leave you emptied. And the body begins holding fat in places it never did before, particularly around the waist, even when your diet has not changed much at all. Then comes the mental side of it. Motivation softens. The internal drive that once moved you to create, to lead, to act, becomes quieter. Some men describe it as if a switch inside them has been slowly turned down. Most people immediately blame testosterone. And while hormones do play a central role, the deeper truth is something most men never hear. Your body is not simply aging. It is adapting. For thousands of years, the human body received constant, unavoidable signals from the environment. Physical movement, sunlight, effort, periods of hunger followed by nourishment, challenges that demanded strength and recovery. These signals told the biology that hormonal vitality, muscle, and energy were essential for survival. Modern life quietly erased most of those signals. Long hours sitting, screens late at night, less physical challenge, more comfort than the body was ever designed to live inside. From a biological perspective, that shift delivers a very specific message. If the environment no longer demands physical capability, the body has no reason to maintain the systems that power it. So it begins to reduce them. Not as a failure, as an adaptation. Here is what most men misunderstand about testosterone. It is not simply a tank that empties with time. It is a responsive system, constantly adjusting based on what the body believes the environment requires. Movement tells the body that strength is necessary. Quality sleep gives the hormonal system its deepest opportunity to restore. Metabolic demand, real physical effort, signals that anabolic function is still essential. Without these inputs, the biology drifts toward conservation mode. Hormonal output decreases not because the body is broken, but because it believes peak performance is no longer needed. This is why two men at exactly the same age can experience radically different levels of energy, strength, and vitality. One body continues to receive powerful signals demanding performance. The other has slowly drifted into survival mode. And here is where the real opportunity lives. If the body reduced testosterone because the signals disappeared, what happens when those signals return? When men first notice their energy dropping, the reflex is almost always the same. They search for answers outside the body. Supplements. Complex stacks of pills. Products that promise to restore what time supposedly took. Some men cycle through routine after routine, hoping the next one will finally unlock the feeling they remember. But the body rarely responds best to complicated interventions. Human biology evolved under simple conditions. Short, intense physical demand. Genuine recovery. Rhythm. Sunlight. These were the original inputs that regulated hormonal health long before any product existed. When those basic signals disappear, the body adjusts downward. When they return, consistently, clearly, the body often responds far more powerfully than most people expect. This is where the 10-minute habit becomes relevant, and why it works at a biological level that most people never fully appreciate. The goal is not to exhaust the body. The goal is to deliver a signal. When large muscle groups are activated with real intensity, not casual movement, but genuine muscular demand, the body interprets that effort as critical information. Strength is still required. Performance still matters. The environment has not become permanently soft. A 10-minute session built around compound movements achieves this with surprising efficiency. Squats, push movements, pulling efforts, or short explosive bursts recruit some of the body's largest and most metabolically active muscles simultaneously. These movements do not simply burn calories. They speak directly to the systems responsible for hormonal regulation. When the session begins, the nervous system immediately increases its output. Muscle fibers recruit more motor units to generate force. Blood flow rises rapidly to deliver oxygen and fuel. The metabolic system shifts gears. Stored energy becomes more accessible, enzymes involved in energy production activate, cells increase their demand for fuel. And then the hormonal system responds to that environment. The body recognizes intense muscular demand as a situation where anabolic hormones, recovery, and strength are necessary. Hormone sensitivity improves. The signals already circulating in the body begin working more effectively. Rather than drifting through the day in a low-demand state, your biology is reminded that performance is still part of your life. Over time, this creates a feedback loop. Muscles become more responsive. Energy systems grow more efficient. Hormonal signaling aligns more closely with vitality and strength. The body begins moving, slowly but measurably, away from conservation mode and back toward performance mode. And the shift often begins before a single lab result changes. When the body starts receiving strong physical signals again, the first changes are subtle. Energy during the day becomes more stable. The heavy mid-afternoon crash becomes less frequent. Getting up in the morning feels slightly less like a battle. The body begins responding differently to movement. Effort that once felt draining starts to feel productive. Metabolism begins shifting as well. Muscles more active means the body uses fuel more efficiently. Fat storage becomes less aggressive. Maintaining muscle mass requires less fight. Small physical efforts start producing visible results. Sleep often improves. The nervous system responds positively to brief periods of real physical demand. It earns recovery, rather than simply waiting for it. Deeper sleep allows hormonal rhythms to stabilize, which feeds directly into energy and clarity the following day. Mental sharpness benefits from this cascade. When the body steps out of constant conservation mode, the brain receives better metabolic support. Focus returns. Motivation, that quiet, durable kind, begins to come back. Many men describe it as if a fog has started to lift. Not overnight. Not dramatically. But steadily, like a dial being slowly turned back up. This is what happens when the biology stops being ignored and starts receiving the signals it was built to respond to. The most dangerous belief a man can carry after 45 is that decline is simply inevitable. That after a certain age, the body stops responding. That slower energy, weaker strength, and fading motivation are simply the price of living. That the best option is to accept it gracefully and reduce expectations. But the human body was never designed to surrender that easily. Your biology is built to adapt. Built to respond. Built to rebuild systems when the environment demands it. Hormones, muscles, metabolism, and mental sharpness are all constantly adjusting to the signals you repeat every day. When those signals disappear, the body grows quieter. It conserves. It reduces performance. Not because it is broken, but because it believes high capability is no longer necessary. The moment you begin sending a different message, the system starts listening again. 10 minutes of real, focused effort can be enough to begin that conversation. Not as punishment. Not as an extreme routine. But as a daily signal, clear, consistent, and honest, that tells your biology, strength still matters here. Energy still has a purpose. The years ahead are not meant to be lived in slow retreat. So here is the challenge. For the next 7 days, give your body 10 minutes of real muscular effort. Compound movements. Genuine demand. Enough intensity to raise your breathing and remind your muscles they are still needed. Do it every day. Then pay attention. Watch your energy when you wake. Notice how your afternoons feel. Observe what happens to your motivation to engage with the day. Most men are surprised by how quickly the biology begins to respond when the right signal finally returns. Age does not erase vitality. The modern lifestyle does. And sometimes, all it takes to begin reversing that trend is 10 minutes, and the decision to stop sending the wrong signal. Your body is still listening. The question is, what are you telling it?